Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us again this morning. In headlines, Mr. Peter Obi urges federal government to partner with the U.S. to tackle insecurity. JAMB extends 2025 public universities admission deadline to November 17. Shake-up in Navy as new chief redeploys 65 rear admirals. NLC laments commercialization of votes in Nigeria's elections. LASG moves to check illegal structures, collapsed buildings through CAP. Police warn militants to stay away from Anambra elections. On business, pension fund investment in federal government securities rise 18.1% to 15.8 trillion naira. SEC, CBN, EFCC to partner in order to track and freeze illicit digital wealth. On foreign news, North Korea's former ceremonial head of state dies. Maldives becomes only nation with generational smoking ban. On sports, Ademola Lookman submits transfer request amidst interest from Galatasaray. 7 Super Eagles star face fitness doubt ahead of the World Cup playoffs. Now the news. Former Anambra State Governor and 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi has urged the federal government to strengthen diplomatic and security cooperation with the United States to confront the worsening insecurity and terrorism across Nigeria. Mr. Obi's call followed recent comments by U.S. President Donald Trump, who warned of possible military intervention in Nigeria over alleged persecution of Christians and the designation of the country as one of particular concern by the U.S. government. In a statement, Mr. Obi described President Trump's threat as a grave signal that Nigeria's security crisis has reached alarming levels. Blaming the President Tinubu's administration for failing to demonstrate the competence and commitment required to stem the bloodshed, the former governor lamented that the persistent killings were largely avoidable, insisting that effective governance and competent leadership could have prevented the crisis. Mr. Obi emphasized that Nigeria's strategic partnership with the United States, built on shared democratic values and regional stability, must be protected and leveraged to tackle the current crisis. The Labour Party flag bearer maintained that only a sincere partnership backed by good governance and accountability could restore Nigeria's global credibility and internal security. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has approved the extension of the 2025 admission deadline for public universities from Friday, October 31, 2025 to Monday, November 17, 2025. The board announced this in a statement by its public communication advisor, Dr. Fabian Benjamin. He explained that the decision became necessary due to emergent and compelling circumstances affecting the timely completion of admissions process by some institutions. JAMB reminded stakeholders that during the 2025 policy meeting on admissions held on July 18, 2025 and chaired by the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, it was agreed that all public universities must complete their admission processes by October 31, 2025. According to the board, the timeline is strategically set to enable other tiers of tertiary institutions, including private universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and innovation enterprise institutions to finalize their respective admissions before the overall national closing date of December 31, 2025. While commending the diligence and commitment of universities that had worked tirelessly to meet the earlier deadline, JAMB stated that the extension became inevitable for 2 key reasons. First, an appeal by the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities following disruptions caused by a court order halting the 2025-2026 admission process, and the recent accreditation of 229 new academic programs across 37 universities by the National Universities Commission (NUC) on October 29, 2025, which necessitated fresh scheduling of admissions into those newly approved courses. JAMB emphasized that the new date was final and binding, urging all public universities to ensure full compliance. Newly appointed appointed Chief of Naval Staff CNS Vice Admiral Idi Abbas has approved the appointment and redeployment of 65 Rear Admirals across various formations and institutions of the Nigerian Navy and to enhance operational effectiveness and reposition the service to better fulfill its constitutional mandate. This was as the Chief of Army Staff, COAS, Lieutenant General Waidi Shuaibu, called on officers of the Nigerian Army to remain steadfast in professionalism, discipline, and commitment to duty as the foundation for career growth and national service. A breakdown of the naval postings as revealed in a statement issued by the Naval Headquarters showed that Rear Admiral Suleiman Abdullahi, formerly at the Defense Headquarters, was appointed Chief of Logistics, while Rear Admiral Kasim Bushi was moved from Headquarters Naval Training Command to the International Maritime Institute of Nigeria as Executive Director. Rear Admiral Anene Chukwuezema was moved from Defense Research Development Bureau to DHQ as Director of Lessons Learned. Rear Admiral Samuel Ngatua, who was at NHQ, moves to DHQ as Director of Project Management, and Rear Admiral Ibrahim Shehu remains as Admiral Superintendent, Naval Dockyard Limited. While congratulating the newly appointed officers, the 23rd CNS charged them to rededicate themselves to duty and justify the confidence reposed in them, adding that the redeployment signaled a renewed effort by the NN to fulfill its constitutional mandate. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has decried the worsening state of Nigeria's democracy, lamenting that the country's electoral process has been hijacked by a privileged few who have turned votes into commodities for trade. President of the NLC, Comrade Joe Ajero, who made this known in Abuja during the public presentation of the report on electoral trust and the Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) signing ceremony organized by the International Press Center (IPC, said the political class had betrayed the people's sovereign will. According to him, what ought to be sacred arena for expressing the people's mandate has been transformed into a marketplace where votes are auctioned and democracy is subverted by the powerful. He commended the initiative of the IPC, describing its collaboration with the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists (NAWOJ) and the Guild of Corporate Online Publishers (GOCOP) as a vital act of resistance. The NLC president reminded journalists that the working class and the suffering masses were watching closely, adding that only integrity and courage could rebuild public trust. The Lagos state government has commenced the Certified Accreditors program, through which members of the public are expected to alert the Lagos State Building Control Agency and other regulatory agencies about ongoing buildings in their communities. Special Advisor to the Governor on EJs and Urban Development, Dr. Olajide Abiodun Babatunde, while speaking at a media briefing on the 70% state certification fee for the acquisition of building planning permits, stated that the CAP representatives have commenced operations, adding that the body will not conduct state certification for the next 6 months and that the responsibility will fall on the CAP agents. He said this was an attempt at achieving Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's Themes Plus agenda of making Lagos a 21st century city. Dr. Babatunde also said that LAPSCA would continue to carry out monitoring and enforcement despite the delegation of its duties to CAP, lamenting that the shortage of personnel needed for carrying out state certification is why the agencies delegated their duties to the public. In another development, the Lagos State Vehicle Inspection Service (VIS) has concluded a 3-day leadership and capacity building workshop for its senior officers and zonal heads to enhance professionalism, empathy, and public trust in service delivery. In a statement signed by its Deputy Director of Public Affairs, Mrs. Bolande Ogundola, the VIS said the training team behind the VIO badge, Transforming Perceptions, Building Trust, was organized in collaboration with the Civility Institute of Nigeria and focused on equipping officers with modern leadership, emotional intelligence, and ethical communication skills. Director of VIS in Lagos, Mr. Akin George Fashola, said the training marked a significant step in service reforms agenda to rebuild confidence in the VIS brand and ensure that officers project civility and professionalism in their daily operations. The Nigerian Police Force has warned the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, the Eastern Security Network, ESN, and any other non-state actor against any attempt to disrupt this Saturday's Anambra governorship election. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, gave the warning during the signing of peace accord by 16 the political parties participating in the polls in Awka. Represented by Deputy Inspector General DIG Ben Okoro, the police boss declared that any attempt to disrupt the exercise will invite an immediate, coordinated and overwhelming law enforcement response. The IGP said the Nigerian police had with precision targeted intelligence operations to identify, isolate and dismantle any network or individual floating acts of intimidation or violence during or after the election. Speaking earlier, former head of state and chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, retired, reminded the candidates and their parties that the commitment to the peace accord is not in words only, but a duty that calls for discipline, honor and responsibility. For his part, the chairman of INEC, Professor Joash Amupita, also asked all political parties, candidates and their supporters to adhere strictly to the principles of the peace accord. According to him, the commission is committed to conducting free, fair and peaceful elections. He disclosed that INEC has approved the final register of 2,802,790 eligible voters for the Anambra governorship election. This is ComfortTV.channel news. We return shortly with business, foreign and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is ComfortTV.channel news. We move on to the world of business, where the pension fund administrator PFAs increased their investment in federal government securities by 18.1% year-on-year to 15.82 trillion naira as of August 2025, up from 13.40 trillion naira in the same period of 2024, according to the National Pension Commission (PENCOM). The surge was driven by the high monetary policy rate (MPR) maintained by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) and the low-risk nature of federal government securities. The MPR, which serves as a benchmark for lending and investment rates, peaked at 27.5% before easing slightly to 27% in October to balance inflation control and growth. Federal government securities accounted for 61.1% of the total pension assets of 25.9 trillion naira. Of these, hold-to-maturity HTM federal government bonds made up to 83.9%, which is 13.28 trillion naira, while available for sale AFS bonds stood at 11.4%, which equals 1.18 trillion naira. Treasury bills, sukuk bonds, and green bonds accounted for the rest. Analysts said the preference for federal government securities reflects their availability and safety amid high interest rates and market volatility. In a major step to strengthen oversight over Nigeria's fast-growing digital finance ecosystem, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has disclosed that it is collaborating with the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to track and freeze illicit digital wallets linked to money laundering, crypto scams, and other financial crimes. The Director General of the SEC, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, disclosed this in Abuja at the 2025 edition of the SEC Journalist Academy with the theme The ISA 2025 and the Future of Nigeria's Capital Market, Innovation, Protection and Growth. Dr. Agama, represented by the Head External Relations Department, Mrs. Efe Ebelo, said the partnership would enhance enforcement and investor protection in the digital asset space. He noted that Nigeria ranks among the world's top adopters of digital assets, with more than one-third of its population engaged in crypto-related activities, a development driven by youth creativity, high mobile connectivity, and a strong desire for financial inclusion. However, Dr. Agama warned that the rapid expansion of digital assets has created opportunities for fraudsters, including fake wallet apps, phishing attacks, ransomware, and other crypto scams that have defrauded thousands of Nigerians. He pointed out that with strong regulation, innovation can quickly become vulnerability. stressing that regulation was not about restriction but about building trust and ensuring that innovation strengthens our economy rather than weaken it. Meanwhile, in a presentation at the same event, Head Fintech and Innovation Department at the SEC, Mr. Abdul Rashid Dan Abu, revealed that Nigerians have lost over 174 billion naira to more than 440 Ponzi schemes in recent years. Moving on to the foreign news, North Korea's former ceremonial head of state Kim Jong-nam has died at the age of 97. Kim, one of the country's most prominent political figures, served as president of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly from 1998 to 2019. The position made him North Korea's nominal head of state for more than 2 decades, though real power remained firmly in the hands of Kim Jong-il and later his son Kim Jong-un. According to the Korean news reports, Kim died from multiple organ failure. The report said Kim Jong-un visited his bier to pay his respects, accompanied by senior party and government officials. Born in 1928, Kim Jong-nam was a seasoned diplomat who played a central role in representing North Korea abroad, before assuming his long tenure as parliamentary head. He served as foreign minister and participated in numerous international engagements that helped project the regime's image overseas. One of his most notable appearances came in 2018 when he led a high-level North Korean delegation to the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea. South Korea's Unification Ministry expressed condolences over his passing. Minister Chung Dong-yong noted that he had held meaningful discussions with Kim in Pyongyang in 2005 and again in 2018, adding that Kim's 2018 visit helped open the door to inter-Korean dialogue at a tense time in regional relations. His death marks the end of an era for one of the longest-serving officials under the rule of all 3 Kim leaders. Still on the foreign scene, the Maldives began implementing a smoking ban on anyone born on or after January 2007. Becoming the only nation with a generational prohibition on tobacco. The move, initiated by President Mohamed Muizzu, will protect public health and promote a tobacco-free generation. The measure also applies to visitors to the nation of 1,191 tiny coral islets scattered some 500 miles across the equator and known for its luxury tourism. The Ministry of Health said it also maintains a comprehensive ban on the import, sale, distribution, possession, and use of electronic cigarettes and vaping products, and it applies to all individuals, regardless of age. Selling tobacco products to an underage person carries a penalty of 50,000 rupiah, which equals $3,200, while using vape devices carries a fine of 5,000 rupiah, which equals $320. A similar generational ban proposed in Britain is still going through the legislative process, while New Zealand, the first country to enact such a law against smoking, repealed it in November 2023, less than a year after it was introduced. Onto the world of sports. Super Eagles and Atalanta forward Ademola Lookman has submitted a request to be allowed to leave the club when the January transfer window opens. The 28-year-old had offers from Napoli and Inter Milan during the summer transfer window and was keen on the move to the San Siro. However, Atalanta held their ground, maintaining they wouldn't let Lookman join another Italian side. Galatasaray tried to make a late swoop for the former Leicester City forward, but the expenses were considered overboard considering the amount they spent in bringing Victor Osimhen to Rams Park. Whether or not Atalanta are willing to part ways with Lookman in January is currently unknown, but his poor form might have an impact on the club's final decision. According to the reports, the CAF 2024 Player of the Year requested a €9 million annual salary and a bonus of €3 million during the transfer talks, a fee that might be deemed too high by Galatasaray. Lookman has scored just 1 goal for clubs and country across all competitions this season, suffering his poorest start to a football season in 5 years. Still on sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria's preparations for their crucial World Cup playoff against Gabon have been hit by a wave of injuries, fitness concerns, and suspension, leaving head coach Eric Chelle with major selection headaches ahead of the decisive clash. With the team's camp set to open in Rabat, several key players are either ruled out or doubtful, forcing Chelle to rethink his tactics and squad balance just days before kickoff. Among those likely to miss the game are Terra Murphy, Felix Agu, Ola Aina, Cyril Dessers, Fisayo Dele Bashiru, Semi Ajayi, and Igor Obu. Murphy had been sidelined with a calf injury sustained in training, while Agu remains out following ankle surgery. Aina is still recovering from a hamstring problem and may not regain fitness in time, and Dessers has missed Panathinaikos' recent matches due to an ankle injury. Dele Bashiru has only just resumed light training after a hamstring setback, while Ajayi is suspended for the first leg after accumulating yellow cards. Obu's hamstring injury further depletes Nigeria's defensive options. The mounting absences across key positions could significantly affect Nigeria's rhythm and depth against the physical Gabonese side determined to reach their first ever World Cup. With pressure mounting, Coachella must find quick solutions to keep Nigeria's qualification hopes alive despite the setbacks. And that's our news report for you this morning. But before we go, here is a recap of our top stories. Mr. Peter Obi urges federal government to partner with U.S. to tackle insecurity. JAMB extends 2025 public universities admission deadline to November 17. Shake-up in Navy as new chief redeploys 65 rear admirals. NLC laments commercialization of votes in Nigeria's election. The Lagos state government moves to check illegal structures in collapsed building through CAP. Police warns militants to stay away from Anambra elections. On business, pension funds investment in federal government securities rise 18.1% to 15.8 trillion naira. Foreign, North Korea's former ceremonial head of state dies. And on sports, Ademola Lookman submits transfer request amidst interest from Galatasaray. Thank you for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on other updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.